Request for proposal.
A request for proposal is a solicitation made, often through a bidding process, by an agency or company interested in procurement of a commodity, service or valuable asset, to potential suppliers to submit business proposals. It is submitted early in the procurement cycle, either at the preliminary study, or procurement stage. The RFP process brings structure to the procurement decision and is meant to allow the risks and benefits to be identified clearly up front. The RFP presents preliminary requirements for the commodity or service, and may dictate to varying degrees the exact structure and format of the supplier's response. Effective RFPs typically reflect the strategy and short long-term business objectives, providing detailed insight upon which suppliers will be able to offer a matching perspective. Similar requests include a request for quotation and a request for information. In principle, an RFP informs suppliers that an organization is looking to procure and encourages them to make their best effort, requires the company to specify what it proposes to purchase. If the requirements analysis has been prepared properly, it can be incorporated quite easily into the request document, alert suppliers that the selection process is competitive, allows for wide distribution and response, ensures that suppliers respond factually to the identified requirements, is generally expected to follow a structured evaluation and selection procedure, so that an organization can demonstrate impartiality, a crucial factor in public sector procurements.
Specifications.
An RFP typically involves more than a request for the price. Other requested information may include basic corporate information and history, financial information, can the company deliver without risk of bankruptcy, technical capability, used on major procurements of services, where the item has not previously been made or where the requirement could be met by varying technical means, product information such as stock availability and estimated completion period, and customer references that can be checked to determine a company's suitability, including educational and military background of its employees on the project. College graduates and those with advanced college degrees may add value from the bidder, as may an employee's military background. As the contract. In the militaries of many countries, an RFP is often raised to fulfill an operational requirement, OR, after which the Military Procurement Authority will normally issue a detailed technical specification against which tenders, that is, bids, will be made by potential contractors. In the civilian use, an RFP is usually part of a complex sales process, also known as enterprise sales. RFPs often include specifications of the item, project or service for which a proposal is requested. The more detailed the specifications, the better the chances that the proposal provided will be accurate. Generally, RFPs are sent to an approved supplier or vendor list. The bidders return a proposal by a set date and time. Late proposals may or may not be considered, depending on the terms of the initial RFP. The proposals are used to evaluate the suitability as a supplier, vendor, or institutional partner. Typically, organizations follow a detailed vendor screening process to shortlist the vendors who should be invited for further rounds of negotiation. This screening process could either be vendor scoring models or internal discussions within the buyer organization. Discussions may be held on the proposals, often to clarify technical capabilities or to note errors in a proposal, or in many cases to negotiate on the price. In most instances, only selected bidders may be invited to participate in subsequent bids, or may be asked to submit their best technical and financial proposal, commonly referred to as a best and final offer, BAFO. Subsequent changes can be referred to as the best and revised final offer, BARFO. Once both the parties, that is a buyer organization and seller organization, agree on the technical and commercial terms and conditions of the proposal, they could move on to next steps like contract signing, statement of work, which would formalize the purchase transactions.
Other requests.
A request for quotation, RFQ, is used when discussions with bidders are not required, mainly when the specifications of a product or service are already known, and when price is the main or only factor in selecting the successful bidder. An RFQ may also be used as a step prior to going to a full-blown RFP to determine general price ranges. In this scenario, products, services or suppliers may be selected from the RFQ results to bring into further research in order to write a more fully fleshed-out RFP. RFP is sometimes used for a request for pricing. A request for information, RFI, is a proposal requested from a potential seller or a service provider to determine what products and services are potentially available in the marketplace to meet a buyer's needs and to know the capability of a seller in terms of offerings and strengths of the seller. RFIs are commonly used on major procurements, where a requirement could potentially be met through several alternate means. An RFI, however, is not an invitation to bid, is not binding on either the buyer or sellers, and may or may not lead to an RFP or RFQ. A request for qualifications, RFQ, is a document often distributed before initiation of the RFP process. It is used to gather vendor information from multiple companies to generate a pool of prospects. This eases the RFP review process by preemptively shortlisting candidates which meet the desired qualifications. A request for tender, RFT, is more commonly used by government